Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA. I make videos for NFL. All these videos they get posted on this subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports. Up here, you can find my posts with my username Shook. I make videos, like I said, for NBA, NFL. Um, NBA, I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. You can ask me questions about the slate. Anything you need, I'll be here. I'll be around. I'll always reply to you. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here. So let's go over my lineups from today. And NFL cashed. NBA did not, so it's going to be a break even day here. But we'll go over my lineups from the other night as well. Um, some just disgusting stuff going on with the NBA of late. Just some disgusting stuff. Um, okay. Now that we got everything up, yeah, we'll go over the slate in a sec. We'll go through. I show you guys my lineups each and every day, so you can tell how I'm doing as a player. And yeah, if you are interested in joining my Discord, I'll have a link to that in the Reddit post where I give you guys cores, in-depth videos, whole bunch of stuff that'll be in there as well. So this was the other day where we got news that Anthony Davis was out late, and I loaded up on the Lakers as any smart person would do, and they get blown out by Houston. I have unowned Rui with no AD, 2% Rui, nuked the slate, and it just doesn't even matter. Dyson, really good play, only for it just doesn't even matter. Wood, half the field faded. Floor game. Just LeBron, Reed. I'm ready to go back tomorrow. I'm going back to them tomorrow, assuming AD's out. This is the other day. Not good. This was showdown, I believe, yesterday. I was in first place for $1,000 until the last 30 seconds when they kept Brandon Ingram in a 25-point game and he gets an assist the last 30 seconds after a timeout. And I move out of first place for $1,000. But did really well. Did really well in the showdown. And then this was today. I mean, the Sadiq Bey game, man. What was that? 30 minutes, 7 fantasy points. When he's been coming off the bench, playing 25 plus minutes, and just nuking. I don't understand. I don't understand. My core today was, it smashed. My core smashed today. Halliburton was a core play for me. Giannis was a core play for me. Campaign was a core play for me. Marco Fultz was a core play for me. He could have had a bit of a better game, but it's still fine. Just Sadiq Bey and Franz just absolutely killed me. So a bit unfortunate there. But luckily, like I said, NFL cashed. The past few days have been good with Showdown, so been staying alive, staying alive. All right, let's get into the slate. So Terry Rozier is out. Gordon Hayward is probable. I mean, this game from a pace standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, from a total standpoint, does look really, really good for fantasy. Like, I think LaMelo Ball at 10K, I think stands out as one of the better spend ups on the slate. Looks like his minutes restriction has been lifted as of now. Although they did say they weren't going to play him 39 minutes again. That was a flat out lie because he basically played 39 minutes again. So in a phenomenal matchup up against Washington, we know he's going to stuff the stat sheet. We know he has double double upside, triple double upside. Pace of this game is going to be great. I mean, it's hard not to really like LaMelo Ball on this slate. I love LaMelo. Hayward, PJ, I think they're both safe options. You know, I think at this point their prices are getting to the point where I think they are right. But both have been good with no Rozier. I'm not going to talk you off either if you want to go to either of them. I just think they are now priced about right. Mark Williams, he's been getting into a bunch of foul trouble. I think normally we get around 30 minutes from him, which makes him in play. Not my favorite play. I think he's once again priced about right. And then you're going to see like some Maladon, Bryce McGowan. I just don't think it's necessary to go to them honestly. I think my favorite plays. Oh, and Brandon Miller at 6'1". Just indifferent. I think the whole of Charlotte is basically kind of priced right now. Mainly interested in LaMelo up at the top. And on to Washington. So you guys know I was really, really high on Kuzma up against Charlotte last game. He absolutely smashed and the game blew out. I'm pretty high on Kyle Kuzma once again, even at this price point. I mean, the offense is just him and it's Jordan Poole just shooting random shots. Like, um, expectation of shots for him, I'm expecting 20 plus. As long as this game stays close, I'm expecting like low 30s minutes. He's a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. Like I said, this game is going to be played very, very fast. There's not going to be a ton of defense played either. So I think Kuzma looks pretty solid to me once again. I think Jordan Poole's interesting. Now, his floor has been very, very low. When he's not hitting his shots, his floor can be that low. I just think he'll be really, really low owned tomorrow, and we know he has 45 fantasy point upside when he is hitting a shot. So I think Poole is an interesting bounce back candidate in the same matchup here. So I think he's an interesting tournament play. Denny at 5'9 seems priced appropriately to me. Tyus Jones, I mean, the minutes for this, the rotations for this team, I think as long as this game stays close, he'll play around 30 minutes. I think 5'5 is a bit too cheap for Tyus. I like him quite a bit. Daniel Gafford, I mean, it's a good spot. He just can't stay out of foul trouble. So, I think he's also an interesting bounce back candidate as well. And I'm not going to touch anyone on the bench. Just not going to do it. So let's move on to Philly. So really, really good spot for Joel Embiid. I think he should just be able to feast here. Also one of my favorite spend ups on this slate at 11-2. I mean, good defender, can get blocks, steals, double almost every game. Should play 35 plus minutes in a great spot as long as Detroit can keep this game close. So I really like Embiid. I think Maxey is still a solid play at 8-1. Also playing huge minutes. The good thing with Maxey too is they'll keep him in sometimes in a blowout as well. So he's going to push for 33 minutes or more regardless if this game stays close or not. So I think Maxey is still a solid play in a good spot at 8,100. Um, Tobias Harris seems priced right, but the role is a lot different this year. Instead of being the fourth option, he is the third option. Good rebounder as well, also playing huge minutes. On this big of a slate, though, I don't think I'm going to go there. Oubre, Melton, not going to do it. Batum's getting solid run off the bench, but I don't think we need to go there. All right, Ivy, Burks out. Obviously, everyone else still out. So, Duran in, obviously. So, Cade, super up and down. Always in foul trouble. But, I mean, the minutes are going to be there as long as this game stays close and he stays out of foul trouble. We know he does have a ceiling. Not my favorite spot for him, so just a tournament play for me. Thompson at 6'9", with Duran in, definitely hurts him a little bit, but I think he's relatively safe, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet and do a lot of things in different ways. I think 6'9" is getting to the point where he's priced right, but fair. Duran, pretty tough spot. I like targeting centers against Joel Embiid that go out to the three-point line. Duran's not going to do that much, so not really a fan of Duran on this slate. And Marcus Sasser probably plays around 30 minutes with the guards out. I think he's priced right now. I think my favorite play on this team is going to be Killian Hayes at 5'4". Not sure why Sasser is 5'8" and Hayes is all the way down here at 5'4". But with the guards out, he should get a boost as well. I think he's solid at 5'4". Don't love much else here. We all saw Bagley have the better game with Durham back. We all saw that. Don't have to go over that. All right, Brooklyn. Cam Thomas out. Ben Simmons is questionable. Even if Simmons is out, there's not too much I love here. Like, if Simmons is in, I think, Ben's fine. Dinwiddie's fine. Bridges is fine. They're all priced right now. Lonnie, Dorian, Royce, those guys kind of be out of play for me at their price points. There's just not much here. And then if Simmons is out, I mean, I guess my favorite play would be Spencer Dinwiddie. They kind of don't really have anyone else to handle the ball that much, so he would probably be my favorite play. But even then, I think like Lonnie, Dorian, Royce. I mean, Royce, Dorian, they're going to play big minutes. I think they're priced right as of right now. Though we also have Cam Johnson coming back. Oh, he already was back. So that hurts them a little bit as well. So don't love much here from Brooklyn in a tough spot up against Boston. I will say if Simmons is in, they're probably a cross off for me. If he's out, I think I'm only considering Dinwiddie. And then Bridges, I guess, does have a ceiling. All right, on to Boston. So, I mean, not much stands out to me. I think Tatum ranks pretty lowly for me as a spend up on this slate. I think Jaylen Brown's priced right. I guess my favorite play, if I had to pick one, would be Porzingis. I still think he's probably the best looking point per dollar from this team, but no standouts here. I think Drew's priced right. I think White's priced right. Not going to get to Horford. For some reason, they're playing Peyton Pritchard 20 minutes a game. I just don't know. All right, on to Utah. So definitely a good amount to like here, personally for me on Utah. I think Markkanen's priced right, but assuming they start John Collins at the 5 again, I like him quite a bit actually. His rates at the 5 compared to when he's playing the 4 are way better. His rebounding goes up. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, I believe we got into some foul trouble early here. I think we get low 30s minutes from him. I think it's an okay spot against Memphis as well. So I like John Collins quite a bit, and then I think Clarkson's a good play as well. Low floor with him, but the ceiling is there also when he's hitting his shots. I think 6'4" is reasonable for him. And then Kelly Olynyk off the bench got into foul trouble as well. I think he's priced right now. And then they started Keontae George. So if they start Keontae George again, I think he's a solid value. He's a guy that was really good in the summer league. He's a guy that can, handle the ball decently, dish out assists, stuff the stat sheet. So played 30 minutes as well. I think he's a pretty solid value if he starts again. They started Agbaji as well. Couldn't pay me to play Agbaji, but he'll be really low usage in this offense. If he was still min price, I probably would have considered him, but yeah, not going to play Agbaji on this slate. They gave the Italian Olympic GOAT Fontecchio some run. I'm not going to go there. So, yeah, I definitely do like some plays from Utah tomorrow. On to Memphis. So, Tillman out. Zaire is questionable. John Conchar is questionable. So, they started Bismack Biyombo last game, and I don't know why nobody wanted him. He was like 0.0% owned. I mean, if he starts again, I like him. Good rebounder. He's a starting center at 4,900. I think it's an okay spot as well. I mean, I think he's solid at 4.9, assuming he does start again. We know the drill here. Bane, Jaren, these two guys are going to lead the way offensively. They're going to do everything for this team. I think they're both solid. Marcus Smart seems priced about right. And then if, Zaire is in, he's a fair value. If they're both out, then I think Kennard's a good value and Roddy will get more run. I would like Roddy for value, and I would assume Roddy would start. Do they go with the same? Let me check last games. I believe it was just just big Bismack started. So I would assume Roddy would move into the starting line. If that's the case, I would like Roddy. I would like Kennard. If those two guys are out, I think anyway, if Zaire is in, Kennard's going to get decent run anyway. I think he'd be a solid value regardless, but would just help a little bit. So yeah. Let's move on to we saw Lofton, I believe, smash in this game, or it was this game. I just had to mention that. Same matchup. On to Minnesota. So I think it's a really good spot. I think Ant's priced right. I definitely have interest just because, the pace of this game, I think is going to be pretty good. So I think Ant is okay for tournaments. I think the best looking point per dollar would be Cat. Back-to-back games has fouled out, but we know, he's over a fantasy point per minute guy. I think we get mid-30s minutes if this game does stay competitive, which I would think it would. So I definitely think Cat's solid at 8-2. Rudy Gobert is playable, but I think he's priced right. Naz Reid, if anything happens to Cat, if anything happens to Gobert, if they both get into foul trouble at some point, Naz Reid will be the guy to benefit from that. Really good point per minute guy. Regardless, I'm expecting around 20 minutes for him. He's in play for that sole reason. Don't mind it. And then McDaniels, Conley. I think Conley is, I don't mind him. I think he's a solid value at 4.8. We don't have a ton of value on this slate. Starting, probably going to play around 30 minutes. I don't mind him. I think he's okay. It's disgusting as well. McDaniels, good defender, can get blocks, steals, defensive stats. Game stays close, probably plays 32, 33, 34 minutes. I know he played 40 in regulation here, I want to say. I don't know if it was double OT. I think it was single OT. He played 40 in regulation. But I think we get normally like 33, 34, 35 minutes from him. Not going to be high usage, but solid rebounder, good defender. I think he's a fair value. Pretty safe to me. And Slow-Mo, he'll get like 25-ish minutes off the bench. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I think he is a fair value as well. Moving on to the Spurs. So Wemby, I always have interest in tournaments just because his ceiling is massive. Did my mic cut out? Hello. I always have interest in tournaments just because his ceiling is massive. Gonna play solid minutes as well, even though his minutes have been a little bit up and down, mostly due to blowouts. But I think normally we get around 35-ish minutes, 33, 34, 35 minutes. Good rebounder, good shot blocker, gets a ton of blocks for you. So I always have interest in him for tournaments just because the ceiling is massive. We do have Vassell back. I believe he came off the bench. They started, I want to say, Branham for him. I would assume Vassell moves back into the starting lineup here. No standouts with Keldon, Vassell. I think they're priced right. Zach Collins, I think, is priced right now. But he has a relatively high floor, too. This rotation is just very interesting what they're doing with these Spurs right now. And I'm not going to consider anyone else. All right. This game is very, very intriguing. So Zion is questionable. Herb Jones is questionable. If they're both in, I think Zion's an interesting tournament play. I think Ingram would be overpriced. Jonas would be priced right. Herb would be priced right. All the value would be priced right. Now, if they're both out again, then sign me up for some Ingram, even at this price point at 9K. I don't mind it still, as long as the game stays close. He is going to be handling the ball a decent amount. I know they start Dyson at point, but Ingram will still be doing a decent amount of ball handling. She'll play huge minutes in a really pace up spot up against Houston. Jonas, I think his minutes would be a little bit more secure. Still cannot play too much, but I would expect 25-ish minutes from him with like his ceiling. And then I would like the value once again. Hawkins, Dyson. Dyson started at the point. He played 20 first half minutes and then didn't really play the fourth because of the blowout. If they start him again at the point, I would expect 35 plus minutes from him. Shot 3 of 10 starting at the point, had 5 assists. 5-1, I would like Dyson quite a bit. I think Hawkins would be solid even at 5-6. Just had a bad shooting game last game. And then Matt Ryan will get decent run. He's playable. And then they started Jerry. I think he'd actually be playable as well for salary relief. So, yeah, let's move on to Houston. So, Sengun is questionable. So, if he is in, I like his ceiling for tournaments. I think Fred's solid. Jalen had a really, really big game last game. Guy, once again, low form. He's not hitting his shots. If he's hitting his shots, he does have a ceiling. Jabari, 5'9". I still think he's reasonable. We do have Tari Eason back. Last season, that would hurt Jabari a little bit because those two guys wouldn't share the floor together. But I think normally we'll get 30 plus minutes from Jabari. I think he's reasonable. Dylan Brooks, no. Tari's good point per minute. If you think this game for some reason blows out, he could get extended and crush, kind of like what he did last game. And then if Sengun's out, I would assume Jock Landale starts the 5. He would be one of the best value plays on the slate. And then you get bumps for Fred, Jalen, Jabari. I think my favorite would probably be Jabari. And then Fred. So, game's pretty appealing to me. On to the Clippers. This team's just a cross-off for me. Definitely not going to play anyone on this team. They all just eat into each other's usage. I will say with Plumlee out, Zubac's minutes are a bit safer. I think he's interesting for tournaments. But, really not much here on the Clips. And really not much here on Dallas. I think Lucas is fine sped up at the top. But other than that, the rotation's disgusting. It's really, really hard for me to trust anyone. If Lively's out, you could look to Powell, maybe. But it's Dwight Powell. Derek Jones Jr.'s minutes have been all over the place. The safest would be Grant Williams, but even then, he's low usage, especially with Kyrie back. So, pretty unappealing team to me. On OKC, another pretty unappealing team. I think SGA is a good spend up. I like the spot up against Sacramento. I actually like SGA quite a bit, but Chet... actually, I like Chet too. Always like his ceiling in tournaments as well. She'll play 35-ish minutes as long as the game stays close. Good shot blocker, good rebounder, double upside. So, I like SGA and I like Chet for tournaments. Giddey's priced right, Jalen's priced right, Dort's priced right. I don't love much else. On to Sacramento. So, sign me up for a sub 10K Sabonis with no Fox. I love Sabonis on this slate. Sign me up for that. Keegan Murray has been horrible. Has shot 4 of 17, shot 5 of 11, 3 of 12. But another guy that's probably going to be really, really low on tomorrow. That if he hits his shot and the prices come down, with no Fox, he is going to have more usage, could break the slate. So I'm definitely interested in Keegan as a bounce back candidate. Malik Monk, his minutes aren't like he's not guaranteed to get a minutes bump with no Fox, but if he is playing well, they will extend him. So interesting tournament play. I just think after last game he'll be a bit overowned. And same thing with Kevin Huerter. Definitely gets a usage bump as well with no Fox. There's just games where he doesn't play much, and there's games where they extend him. So I like Huerter for tournaments as well. They started Keon Ellis at the point. Not going to play him on this big of a slate if he starts again. I mean, you could for salary relief. He was good in Summer League, but playing alongside the starters, he'll be very low usage. And then Davion would be out of play. But if they start Davion, I do like Davion for value. All right, this team, I'm ready to go back. I don't care. So Anthony Davis is questionable. If he's in, 80's fine for tournaments. I don't love much else. If he's out, then we're going to be loading up on the Lakers. Then LeBron James shoots up to one of the better spin-ups on the slate. D'Lo would look good. Reeves would look good. Christian Wood would look like one of the better plays on the slate. I don't care about last game. I do not. I don't care. Wood would look good. I would like Rui for value, who I think would get low 20s minutes. He would get a boost as well. They also played him at the 5 some, so, but like Rui. Prince would be playable. He would get a boost. So there'd be a lot to like with this Lakers team if AD's out. On to Phoenix, very unappealing team to me. Bradley Beal is probable. We'll see if there's a limit. If there's not a limit, I actually do like him. But if there is a limit, which I expect there will be, he's probably out of play. Kevin Durant's overpriced. Nurk with Beal back, overpriced or priced right. Everyone else is priced right. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and I will talk to you all in the next one.